Hey everyone, this is Reggie from Restore Plus Physical Therapy. Happy Monday. How are you doing? Hey, Restore Plus family, Team Transform family. Welcome to this week's video. And if you're new to this awesome community, I would like to welcome you to this awesome community where everybody supports each other to help get better not only physically but mentally and emotionally as well. So over the weekend, well, actually late last week, I went to a workshop, and that's kind of like where I got my inspiration and the message I'm going to share tonight. No, I went to a workshop, belong to this awesome group that it's a group of clinic owners, and that's we brainstorm there, and it's kind of like a mastermind. So we share ideas, and our coach helped guide us into some of the things that we can do. So it was very, very engaging, very informative. I love this experience, and I like going to those kind of events, those kind of workshops, because you always come back and learning something new, not only for the business, but also for me. It's it helps with the personal growth as well. And this year has been as I paid a lot of attention to personal development, to personal growth after realizing quite a number of things. So that is something that I really enjoy. Although Wednesday I thought I was not going to get there. The reason is because I didn't know that the Amtrak was supposed to go on strike on Thursday. But anyway, Wednesday afternoon, I was supposed to go there, and there was this massive delay in the Amtrak. So I was waiting in the Penn Station for 3 hours. It was a long day. Um, People were on edge, um, getting a little, getting upset already. They had NYPDs out. People were saying that might be related to the pending strike. I don't know if that's true or not. But for me, my concern at that time was, okay, how soon is the train going to come? Because if I get to, this workshop was in Maryland, so if I get to DC late and get to the hotel late, I'm not going to have food. So that was my main concern. Um, so what I did was I just bought, I grabbed some burger and fries there. I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna go there hungry. Sure enough, we got there very late. I didn't get to DC till almost 1, and to Maryland almost 2 o'clock already. And and I thought I was not gonna have an Uber also because the Uber drivers were not picking up, or they were canceling my request. Anyway, I got there, and it was all good. Coming back was definitely was better. For me, I enjoyed that because I learned a lot. And my message for today is when I was talking to some people there, I shared my story because some of them didn't know me as well, didn't know them. I shared my story and how I started, basically how my life started in America. And after I shared my story, some of them have mentioned, one of them mentioned, it's like, I wish you can share that with the schools in my area. It's because the story that I share with them, it touched them in a way that they didn't think that people can struggle that much, and they found that they found inspiration in my story, and then and some of them have mentioned that you know what, this is something that you would want to share, well, good for you to share with other people. I didn't share it that much before, and I told them because in my culture, usually you have, status, right? And usually you don't want to share those kind of, like, your failures, those kind of stories, just because of the way people will judge you, people will see you. But now at this point, one of the things I learned definitely is I don't really care what people think, as long as I'm in line with my values. I'm doing what I think is right. I'm serving people the best way I can, and this makes me happy. I don't really care, what they say, or how, if they would judge me or not. I'm beyond that already, and that's something that was in my mind when I was growing up. So I decided to say, you know what? I will share, that story I know I shared it in my website. I'm not sure if a lot of you, but I shared that in audio. And tonight, I just want to share the summary of how I actually got to America and how I started my life here. Hey, good evening, Miss Anna. Great to see you. So when I first started in America, I came here. I grew up in first of all, I grew up in the Philippines. My grandparents were from China, right? Just like everywhere else, there's Chinese people everywhere because, being China, and China is a pretty difficult place to live in, especially before. Now I heard it's better, but before definitely it wasn't. And uh, so my grandparents went to the Philippines, and I was born there. I grew up there. I grew up there. My family's poor, so I grew up in a rough neighborhood. And I just to give you an example. Some of my neighbors were crackheads, some of my neighbors were drug dealers. You grew up in the street, and I knew that. So when I say I wanna be better. I want to get out of here, have a better future, because it's not something I would want for my, for my kids in the future, right? So I went to school, did all I can, and I got to America. Really, basically pushed my way here. It was a recession when I first came here. And I got to the States with $50 in my pocket. That's the only money I had left. I had a little bit of money saved, my whole life, and I spent, I worked, as a physical therapist in the hospital there for a couple of years, but then I had to spend money for, plane ticket, getting the exams, things like that for here, for the States. And what I was left was just $50 in my pocket. And that's how I started in America. I remember during that time, I had to, I had to collect cans. Those cans you recycle them for 5 cents each. I had to collect them so I can get grocery money. And because at that time I was working, I was lucky. I was able to get my license, pass the exam a week after I got to the States, and worked as a physical therapist. But I need sponsorship, so the company, my boss at that time, knew that I needed the papers, working papers. So they filed for for those papers, but they paid me really, really cheap. They paid me like, definitely less than what everybody else gets paid, just because they know I needed the papers. But you know what? I said I had to do what I have to do. So it was collecting those cans. I had a couple bags, and I know it's gonna be a couple dollars, and use that for grocery money. And also, like, for to save a little bit, I used to buy those Chinese takeouts, those lunch special. At that time it was cheaper. It was like $4 something, and I'll split that into two so I can have lunch and dinner. um, and it was very humbling moment. It was tough times, for me, being a licensed physical therapist already, in the Philippines, coming here being a licensed physical therapist, and still have to struggle like that. Struggle, making ends meet, right? So that's how I started. And I work hard. It was a time that I was working, two, three different jobs, just so I can, make a little bit of extra. Um, and the sad thing is, sometimes, and this, I say, sometimes friends are better than families. Because I was living with my aunt at that time, but it was I used to stay, and this one thing, I used to hang out in Best Buy, and I shared that. I didn't share this with a lot of people. So I used to hang out in Best Buy because they have the couch there, they have the TV, right? I was lucky enough that the people there were nice. They didn't throw me out, because I used to go there a lot, just sit on the couch and rest, because I didn't want to go home, because family I was living with at that time wasn't talking nicely about me. He used to, say insulting words, things like that. So I said, I really didn't want to be there. Later on, I said, you know what? Even if it's just barely enough, you know, I want to get my own place. And that's how my life is. And that's how my life started in America. Having to, having to really, work hard to, to save, actually to just to survive. And then I did that, year after year. A few years later, finally got my papers, and then here on, I was able to save, a bit more. And then now I have the company, I was able to, purchase houses, things like that. And I'm not saying that to say, hey, you know what, look at me. I'm not saying that to brag or anything. Definitely not. It's just now I want to share that with you, because this is something that for everybody who thinks that there's no hope, that they're struggling. I want to share that, hey, you know what? it is possible. You just have to work hard enough. You hustle enough and be persistent. And that's the thing, the key to success. I heard somebody say, like, key to success is persistence. Just keep trying, keep working, right? And that's something that I know that some people don't really see, and they don't really try as much, and they kind of accept the way things are. um, Definitely it's not something that will be helpful. And the things that I went through, they build your character, those hardships. And I also remember this. It was one time, I was, in the Chinese culture, who your family is your parents, especially your father is very important. I love my father. Yeah, he passed away early this year, but some of the things that, who we are, and what the family is, um, it's kind of like from his kind of his legacy. But even during that time, my dad was a salesman. So when you actually ask a Chinese girl, out, and they would say, "Oh, what does your father do? You guys, what business do you have? What's your father's job?" And say it's a salesman. And say, "Oh, he's only a salesman." That's how they would say it, right? Chinese people look at, like, the Chinese culture is like that, and it's kind of like, I know some of my patients tell me the Indian culture is like that also. That they have statuses that, hey, you're not at our level, all right. Uh, so that was tough, for some, growing up, for me to hear, and to for me to understand that. I'm like, what, why, why, right? And there was some of them would say, "Oh, you know what, you're not allowed to see my daughter because, oh, you're just not at our level." Or some of them, I remember this one time, the girl said, "Oh, I don't date guys without cars." I'm like, wow, all right. um, Going through that, it's a lot. Those are the things that kind of fueled me. I was like, what, someday I want to establish my family's name. I want to, I want to be able to have my son, the next generation, because the respect, for me, at this point, you ask me, what is money? Money for me, right now, it's a unit of choice. You have more money, you have more choices, right? You can ride first class or coach, right? You have more money, you can afford better cars compared to, let's say, you can afford a Mercedes compared to a Honda. But for some, it's respect. For some, it's happiness. Definitely in the Chinese culture, you have more money, they have more respect for you. And that's something that I say, what, I want to have that respect. So that's why I really push myself to be better, to get here. That fuels, my drive. And like before, people ask me, how can you be doing that? Like, I have a clinic raising my son because I'm divorced, so I'm trying to be there as much as I can to be in his life. I know I have a great relationship with my son. I try to be there, and they ask me, how can you do that? I said, well, you know what? If you've been broke and you live and struggle the way I did, um, you will take any opportunity you can, and you will not quit. You will not give up, because I don't want to go back there again. I don't want to struggle like that again. I don't want my son to struggle, have that. Although I don't raise him, spoiled, but, and also I make sure that he knows where I came from. But still, I don't want him to have to struggle like that, because it was tough. Definitely made me stronger, maybe the person who I am. So I just want to share that with everyone. I hope this will motivate you. I hope this story inspires you. If you have, younger kids, as I know, I have friends who have told me, "Hey, you know what? Talk to my kid about that. Share with them, what you went through, how lucky they are, and make them realize how lucky they are. Their parents sacrificed a lot for them to come here, because I did sacrifice a lot. I left somebody, back in the Philippines. I left my buddies in the Philippines just to be able to get here. Um, so that's something I want to share with you. Those things. I know we complain a lot about America, but for me, I think this is the best country in the world. It's an awesome place. I love the country. It's the only country I know where an immigrant like me can, with nothing basically, can come here and be better, serve people, have a better future for myself and for my son, have a better life. And basically, I think that the only place I know where you can get that opportunity, as long as you work hard enough. That's a main thing. As long as you work hard enough, you'll be able to make something of yourself. Because in the Philippines, as much as I love it when I grew up there, but there is really limited opportunity for people here. As long as you would put the work in, you achieve something. All right. I definitely know. I'm not saying I'm rich. It's not that. It's not for bragging or anything. But I do live a comfortable life, and every day I'm happy because I wake up. I get to serve more and more people in my community, having my own clinic. And then now, I finished my online course. I'm able to serve more people now, even online. And that's the other thing I want to, share with you, that I finally finished my online course. It's an online course for recovering from knee replacements. I'll mention more about that. And I'm so ecstatic. I'm so excited I was able to finish that course already. So it's now live. I'll tell you more about it. But yeah, that allows me to serve, more people now, online, other parts of the world. And every day I wake up, I'm blessed. I see my family, and I get to serve. I see my staff. I get to serve more and more people in the community. I hope this just gives you motivation. This gives you the inspiration. Share this with everyone who might be down, who might be struggling. Um, Share this with them, and I hope that it lights up the fire with them. And that's what this Mondays are for. So I want to share something that that hit of inspiration. That if I can provide everyone, that means a lot to me already, and that helps fulfill my purpose, which is to serve everyone and to help in any way I can. All right. And share your story below and see if that is something that you think you will share with other people. And I would love to hear your thoughts about it. All right. So have a great rest of the week, and I'll see you next week, next Monday at 7. All right. Bye.